Today we're bringing another ruined house to life, or perhaps I should say, bringing it a little further into decay. Welcome to the Mordheim project. Whether you've been following along from the beginning, or this is your first time here, today we're continuing our journey into the city of the damned. In this episode I'll be painting up another ruined house for the board, adding plenty of grime, dirt, and filth to make it look like it's been standing here for far too long. We're going to be adding some Mordheim feel to this building. I found a couple of free STL files online, some parts from a steam tank, along with some pipes, and I thought these would make a great addition to the building. Not that it really needs it. I'm really looking forward to painting this beautiful 3D file from Terrablock from their Helwick series. My initial idea for this building was actually quite different. I was thinking about creating some kind of outdoor space around it, but I really struggled to see the point. So instead, I decided to go in a completely different direction. Rust, pipes, and a whole lot of grime. Because really, what could be more Mordheim than that? So let's build a contraption that fits right into the city. Initially, I wanted pipes jutting in and out everywhere. It would have looked great, but it wouldn't have played very well. So instead, we're going to build this in a way that gives us a choice. If we want to use it, we can put it on the building, and if it gets in the way of gameplay, we can simply leave it off. So that way, we get the best of both worlds. This looks pretty good, but let's add a little more. I'll use some misprinted parts that came out 1 to 2 millimeters thick. They're quite thin, which makes them really easy to cut, shape, and glue into place. And rather than throwing them away, we can give them a new life on this building. This also makes the contraption a bit more sturdy. I'm using a hot air gun to gently shape these parts. Since they're quite thin, they soften up really quickly, which makes them easy to bend and shape into whatever we need. I had a couple of orc scrap bits left over from another project, so I'm going to cut off the bolts and use them on this contraption. With that done, let's begin painting. I'll start by dry brushing the entire building with a natural gray, making sure to leave some of the black primer showing through. This will give us some nice variation right from the start and keep those deeper shadows in place. After that, we'll add another layer of dry brushing. This time we'll use an even lighter touch with an off-white color. The more of that light color we add, the more it will shine through the oil wash we're going to use in the next step. Also, this final layer will complete all of the stoneworks. At this stage, you can really decide what kind of timber you want. You can go for a lighter, grayish wood, or keep it much darker. This technique is quite forgiving, so don't worry too much about getting it perfect. Just play around with the colors and see what looks good. Once we add the oil wash and let it dry, everything will start to come together. I really love the details on this STL. The model is called the Smokehouse, and apparently they smoke fish here. Not really my cup of tea. Someone seems to have taken the sign down. You could imagine that smoked fish wasn't exactly the best business idea. Maybe the business went broke long before the comet struck. But before we work on the timber, we need to paint the plaster. Here, I'm being pretty thorough and trying not to get any paint on the timber. This color is quite bright and will show through the oil wash later, so I'm painting right up to the edges of the timber. You could also leave a millimeter or two between the plaster and the wood. The oil wash will help cover that later anyway. I've decided to leave all the broken parts on the plaster walls with just the two previous layers of gray and white. Since these parts would mostly be mortar and exposed structure anyway, I think the colors work quite well, and honestly it also saves a bit of time. Is this a good trade-off, do you think? What would you have done differently? If you have any ideas for improving it, I'd love to hear them in the comments. Oil wash time. I don't mix up a whole bottle of wash. Instead, I use what I like to call the dip and dip technique. I made that name up, but you get the idea. First, dip the brush into the oil color, and then dip it into the thinner. Sometimes, if I've picked up a little too much thinner, I'll dip the brush to a paper towel first. Otherwise, the wash can become too runny and end up everywhere. The reason I like doing it this way is that you get a lot of natural variation. The oil wash behaves slightly differently each time, so no two parts of timber end up looking exactly the same. I'm saving the floors for later. I'll use the same oil wash, but this time I'll thin it out a little more, and then remove the excess with a paper towel. This gives the floors a more subtle, dirty look, without making them too dark. Continuing with the oil wash, I'll thin it out even more before applying it to the plaster. This gives the surface a much softer, more uneven look, helping to create that feeling of old weathered plaster. It's really easy to apply. If you get too much wash in one area, simply use the brush to suck some of it back up. Or dip the brush into the thinner again and soften the area. It's hard not to succeed with this technique. Once it dries, it will leave an ultramatte finish. And remember, the more wash you put on, the more decay you're going to get. While we let that dry, and it takes a couple of hours, we can work on the contraption. I'll start by painting the wooden parts with a random brown. Then I'll use a gunmetal color for the metal. For the rust, I'm using dirty down rust effect. First, I thin it down with quite a lot of water to create a more subtle effect. Then I'll use it straight from the bottle in some areas for a much stronger, heavier rust effect. For the bronze parts, I'll start with a random green color as a base. Then I'll apply dirty down verdigris over that. Finally, I'll give the bronze parts a light dry brush with brass to bring the details back out. As you can see, once the oil wash has dried, it leaves a really nice matte finish. The colors have settled down, and all those little variations in the timber are starting to show through. Well, let's jump right onto the roof. For the buildings on this board, we're going to use two main colors for the roofs, a red brick color and a blue. Most of the buildings will have the traditional red brick color, but a few will get blue roofs to add a bit of variation across the board. I think that will help keep the whole board from looking too uniform. When I say it out loud, it sounds like a lot of work. But this roof will actually have 5 layers in total. The primer, 2 shades of gray, and 2 shades of red. I did try skipping one of the grays and one of the reds, and honestly the result was still really good. But each layer is so quick to apply that I'd happily do 7 layers if I thought it would make the roof look better. It's all about getting that extra bit of variation without spending hours on every single roof. The second layer is applied really lightly. Now it's just the finishing details left. A bit of brick, some iron, the window colors, and of course, the fish sign. We can't forget what this place was originally meant for. The fish sign is just so cool, I had to make it pop. Unfortunately, once the building is fully assembled, you can barely see it. But we know it's there, and that's what matters. I'm adding a few speckles of oil wash around the ground level. Hopefully this will help tie the building into the rest of the board and make it feel like it actually belongs there. I'm also trying out a new basing material that I'll be using in the next video. I'm applying it with some diluted PVA glue, and I'm hoping this will give the building a more natural connection to the board than the oil wash I've used in the past. We'll see how it turns out. Last detail now, adding some water effects. But first we seal the sewer and paint it black. I tried one color scheme first, but I wasn't really happy with it, so I decided to redo it. This time I'm keeping it simple and using just one of the colors. I think the result works much better. It's done, and I have to say, I'm really happy with how this one turned out. From the weathered timber and rusty pipes, to the little details like the fish sign, I think it now feels right at home in Mordheim. Let me know what you think in the comments, and if you would have done anything differently. If you enjoyed the video, consider leaving a like and subscribing if you're not already. And as always, thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next one.